Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara, for those of you who haven't met me yet, and I run a crochet small business. If you are new and this is your first time here, please make sure that you subscribe to join our little community of love and support, and introduce yourself down in the comments so that I can meet you and officially welcome you to our little family. So in today's video, we are going to be doing a massive yarn haul. And when I say massive, y'all, this is a massive yarn haul. You can kind of see the box hanging out over here. So yes, when I say massive, this is going to be a massive haul. I placed a very large order with Premier Yarns, specifically wanting to try their new Premier Parfait Plush yarn. I've heard many other crocheters talk about this yarn and compare it to Sweet Snuggles Light. You guys know Sweet Snuggles Light and Chenille Home Slim is my all-time favorite yarn, and they have been having production issues like you've probably heard many people talk about before. The yarn has been very hard to get lately, and I say lately, but this has probably been going on for like a year at this point. So I know I have definitely been looking for a yarn to replace Sweet Snuggles Light, and that yarn is a weight 6, and any other weight 6 yarn I've tried has just been a little bit too thin for my personal liking. So when I saw people saying that the Premier Plush yarn was very comparable to Sweet Snuggles Light, I immediately knew I had to try it. So when I placed this order, my goal was to get at least one of every color of this yarn, just so I could kind of see what it looked like, see if the quality of the yarn was consistent throughout all the colors of the line. I saw online they did have some colors that looked very similar to colors of Sweet Snuggles Light, so I really tried to get my hands on every color. I had all the yarn in my cart, and I think like maybe 2 colors were out of stock, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait for those 2 to come in stock and then I'll place an order. And a couple days went by and then 2 more colors went out of stock, and a couple days went by and 3 more colors went out of stock. So I said, let me go ahead and just place this order now and get the colors that I can get and that are available, and then when these other colors come back in stock, I'll just place another order later on. One of the colors I am in desperate need of is Sand, and I believe that one is Chenille Home Slim, and the Parfait Plush had a color that looked really similar. I think that one was called Toffee, and I really wanted to get my hands on that one, but unfortunately that was one of the ones that were out of stock. And there are a few other colors of the Parfait Plush that are more unique. They don't really have like a comparable color of the Sweet Snuggles Light. I know Carrot is one of them, I know Poppy is one of them, and I'm sure there's a few others. So let's go ahead and unbox this yarn. I will do a yarn comparison of this yarn versus Sweet Snuggles Light and maybe a couple other comparable yarns that I might have on hand. We can compare size, we can compare quality, we can compare colors, and we will also compare price point, because I know that's really important too if you're also a small business owner. So let's go ahead and unbox this yarn. So like I mentioned, the purpose of me placing this order was to stock up and sort of try out the new Premier Parfait Plush yarn. I did order just a few skeins of the Premier Parfait Chunky that I needed for a custom order, but let's go ahead and get into unboxing this yarn. So right off the bat, I already see some colors that look extremely similar to colors I know and love of Sweet Snuggles Light. I think let's go ahead and unbox the Parfait Chunky first, because that is what I have the least of. I have 2 skeins of this color here. This is Marshmallow. I have 2 skeins of this color. This one is Toffee. And I believe this is the last of the Parfait Chunky. I got these are just 3 skeins of black. Oh no, I lied. I did get 2 Parfait Chunkies in bright pink, because I do have a specific plushie that I make in these. Hold on, let me show you really quick. So this bright pink is the perfect color to make these little Squid Game soldiers. I think these are super cute, and I have been market prepping these for my upcoming fall markets, and I actually ran out of this color. If you're interested in this pattern, it is free on Instagram. I have it linked in the video that I posted before this one. Okay, so I think that is officially all of the Parfait Chunky yarn. Now we can get into the Parfait Plush. Right off the bat, the quality of this yarn is extremely soft. It is very similar to Sweet Snuggles Light when it is the good quality Sweet Snuggles Light. And just for a little comparison, let me run you through the stats of each of those yarns really quick. So each one is a weight 6 yarn. This yarn, the Parfait Plush, retails for $7.99 per skein, and each skein contains 200 grams and 174 yards of yarn, which per yard comes out to about 4.5 cents per yard. And then Sweet Snuggles Light / Chenille Home Slim, that one retails for $9.99 per skein, It comes with 250 grams and 218 yards of yarn. And that one also comes out to about 4.5 cents per yard. So off of just the straight up retail price, these yarns are very similar in price. But if you guys don't know, Michaels is always running coupons. They always have their rewards program. So you can usually end up getting a pretty good discount on that yarn. So when you take that into consideration, yes, Sweet Snuggles Light might end up being a little bit cheaper when you take those into account. But I know Premier does run sales sometimes as well, and they do have a rewards program. In my opinion, it's not quite as good as Michaels, but when they do run sales, you can definitely stock up on this yarn if it is something that you like. So the first yarn that I grabbed is this one here. This one is just in the color white. I bought two different grays. This one on top is a little bit lighter. This one is pale gray and the bottom one is seal. Let me grab any Sweet Snuggles Light or Chenille Home Slim that I have to kind of compare the colors for you. Actually, I'll do a color comparison a little bit later so I can show them to you up close. We have this one in the color mustard. This yarn does feel just a tiny bit not as soft as the first three that I showed you, but it's still very good quality. Like, it's nowhere near what Sweet Snuggles Light was ended up being towards the end. Nowhere near that. This is still very soft and definitely very usable. We have this one here called Light Pink. I am very excited for this color. This one looks extremely similar to, I believe it's called Bluebird in Sweet Snuggles Light. And to me, that color is really unique. I haven't really been able to find a good dupe for it. And this one here looks like it is going to be perfect. I am pretty much completely out of rhubarb, so this one looked really similar. This one is called Ruby. This is another one of the colors that I'm very excited for, a true red. This one is Poppy. This one is very similar to, I believe it's called Kombu Green, but this one is called Evergreen, if you can kind of see it there. We have this one in the color Chocolate. I really wanted the lighter shade of brown, but of course that one ended up being out of stock. We have this really bright yellow in the color Summer Squash. I am also very excited for this one here. This one is called Hot Pink. I actually haven't been able to make strawberry turtles lately because I ran out of this color, so I am definitely going to be stocking up on those turtles. I have this one here in the color Teal. And lastly, we have this dark purple in the color Iris. That was everything in our massive yarn haul. Let me go ahead and pull out the similar colors that I have in Sweet Snuggles Light and Chenille Home Slim, and we can do a little color comparison. Okay, so I dug all of my yarn out. Ignore the mess behind me, please. But let's go ahead and first compare the size difference between Sweet Snuggles Light, the new Premier Parfait Plush, and Parfait Chunky yarn. Okay, so down on the very bottom in brown is the Premier Parfait Chunky. In the middle, we have the Premier Parfait Plush, and on the very top up here is Sweet Snuggles Light. As you can clearly see, the Parfait Chunky is definitely thinner than the others, but right close up here, again, the Premier Parfait Plush is on the bottom and Sweet Snuggles Light is on the top. These yarns look extremely similar, both in the quality and the softness of the yarn, in the thickness of the yarn, and also these specific colors. So now that we know that the Premier Parfait Plush and Sweet Snuggles Light are basically the same size, same thickness, same softness, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a color comparison. First, we'll just go ahead and do the one that I was already showing you. This is the Parfait Plush in blue. Did I say blue earlier? I don't remember if I did. This one is blue, and then on the bottom is Sweet Snuggles Light in Bluebird. As you can see, these colors are extremely similar. Absolutely love this one. And just to throw another little comparison at you, I do have a skein of the not so great quality Sweet Snuggles Light of the same kind of color scheme. Our next two definitely are not an exact match. I'm pretty sure the Parfait Plush did have a lighter yellow, but again, I think that was one of the ones that was unavailable when I went to place my order. But up top here in the Parfait Plush is Summer Squash, and on the bottom is Sweet Snuggles Light in Daffodil. Clearly the Daffodil is a bit of a lighter, more pastel yellow, and the Summer Squash is a little bit more of a vibrant yellow. So there are those two. Miss Eden, of course, had to pop in and say hi. Do you like the yarn? Do you think that yarn is soft? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's good? she thinks it's good. It gets the Eden stamp of approval. These two I think are another one of the ones that are a really close match. On the top is Iris from Parfait Plush and the bottom is Meadow Violet. Meadow Violet is just a teeny tiny bit darker than Iris. But you know, looking at them in person, like side by side, those two colors are very, very similar to each other. So far, I am obsessed with this Parfait Plush. I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. This next one is a little bit sad, but bear with me. So this is Ruby compared to, what's this one? Rhubarb. I believe this one is called Rhubarb. You can see those are very similar. Rhubarb might be a teeny tiny bit darker. Well, see, now that the light changed a little bit, they do look very, very, very similar. I can't believe that these colors are almost exact dupes of each other. When I was looking at review videos of the Parfait Plush, I saw some people reviewing it, but I didn't see too many people doing like side-by-side yarn comparisons. And I literally just think Parfait duped all the Sweet Snuggles Light and Chenille Home Slim colors because these are so incredibly similar to each other. I am loving this. I'm so excited. Let's move on to our next color. Our next ones are not an exact match, but they are pretty close. They're kind of in the same family. This is, let's see, light pink. And I can't remember what this one is called. I think this one was Chenille Home Slim, and I think it was called Rose or Rose or something like that. But you can see this one over here is a little bit more purple toned, whereas the plush is a bit more on the pink side. They're both of course beautiful colors, but not an exact dupe of each other. This one is a little bit wonky because unfortunately I do not have a good quality of the Sweet Snuggles Light to compare this one to. But you can see here, I believe this one is Mustard, and I think this one is also called Mustard. Yeah. So you can see, because this is one of the not so great quality of the Sweet Snuggles Light, it looks a little bit more shiny, waxy, velvety. So I can't do an exact color comparison, but they are very, very similar. I'm not really going to compare the white side by side because white is just white. They look identical. They look exactly the same. But our next one is another one I was very, very excited for. I use this color, which is, oh gosh, how do you say it? Charmaine Rose, Carmine Rose, Charmaine Rose. I don't know. I'm so sorry. But comparing this one to the hot pink, I use this color when I make my strawberry turtles. And this is all that I have left, so I was so excited for this color. And you can see they are extremely similar. The Sweet Snuggles Light might just be a little bit more pink, I guess. It kind of has a deeper pink tone to it. Maybe a little bit more saturated. Maybe that's the word. It's a little bit more of a saturated pink. But again, love, love, love this color. Next is comparing the Evergreen to Kombu Green, I'm pretty sure it's called. Another very, very similar color. You can see it a little bit better there. Very, very, very similar. Almost identical, honestly. These two grays are a little bit different from each other. This is Sweet Snuggles Light Gray, and the plush is Pale Gray, which is the lighter of the grays that I showed you. You can see they are a little bit different. The plush over on this side is a little bit more of a blue undertone, I would say. So these are definitely not interchangeable colors, but they are both very pretty. Now on the other side, we have the Chenille Home Slim in Ash and the plush in Seal, which is the darker of the two grays that I got. You can see these are a bit more similar. I still wouldn't say these are exact dupes of each other. I can't really put into words what the difference of them is. Maybe the plush is a tiny, tiny bit darker, but there are those side by side. I think this is the last color comparison I have. This is Java in Chenille Home Slim. And when I was looking at, what is this one? Chocolate? Chocolate. When I was looking at Chocolate on the website, I thought it was going to be an exact dupe for Java, but you can see they are very, very clearly different. Java over here is definitely more of a darker, true brown, almost black, but not quite. And then the Chocolate is definitely a lighter brown, has more of a red undertone. So these are definitely very different from each other. Like I was mentioning, the plush does have a lighter brown. I think that one was called Rust, and I'm very, very excited to try that one because I think it's going to be very similar to Terracotta. But anyways, this yarn is a mess. I do not have the time or the energy to reorganize all my yarn and put it all away, so I am going to move it to the side and we will deal with that at a later time. My overall thoughts on this yarn. I love it. I am truly obsessed. I am not in any way sponsored by Premier. They did not send me this yarn. I paid for everything with my own money. But I really love it. It really reminds me of when I first started using Sweet Snuggles Light, and I absolutely fell in love with it for the softness and the thickness and everything good about it. I feel like that is what the Parfait Plush has now become. I have seen other reviews where people have gotten some not so great quality skeins. That is not the case for any of the yarn that I got. But again, there are a few colors of this line that I still really want to try. So if I am able to get my hands on those anytime soon, definitely look for a part 2 of this video. And again, I will compare those to their color versions, similar colors of Sweet Snuggles Light or Chenille Home Slim. Absolutely am loving the yarn. The only downside for me is that you do have to order this yarn online. You can't really get it in store, at least no store near me or no store that I know of. So that is a little bit of a downside. And right now when I'm filming this video, a lot of the colors are out of stock. I think maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 colors might be out of stock right now. Which, side note, if you were able to get your hands on the toffee of this color, or if you have any, I think it's Chenille Home Slim sand yarn on hand that you don't want, hit your girl up because I am in desperate need of some. I would love to have some of that yarn. I definitely want to get more poppy of that true red color. I think that one is beautiful. And again, Sweet Snuggles Light and Chenille Home Slim didn't have a version of true red. On that same note, the plush has a color called Carrot, which is a really vibrant, true orange color. Sweet Snuggles Light does have peach pink and coral, I believe. Again, those are more on the pastel side, where the Carrot yarn in plush is a bit more of a true kind of vibrant orange. And when I got the Parfait chunky yarn for the custom order, I still need to get almond butter in order to complete my custom order. So now I kind of have an excuse to order more yarn. Because one thing about me, I am not paying for shipping. I am reaching the order minimum so that I don't have to pay for shipping. To me, it's just a waste. You will never catch me paying for shipping on anything. I'm going to spare you from having to see me try to organize this yarn into the small craft space that I have. If you've seen my previous yarn haul, you know that I am working in very tight quarters and very little yarn storage, so I'm definitely gonna have to get creative to find this plush yarn a home. But like I said, I will spare you from seeing that. I am gonna catch up with you a little bit later because I do want to make a plushie using Sweet Snuggles Light and the new Parfait Plush yarn, just to see a really true size comparison to if these plushies are going to turn out the same size. And I've actually never made this pattern before. It's a free pattern and I'm definitely looking to add this to my market booth for the upcoming market season, so we can do a little review of the plush yarn in action, doing a magic ring. Does it shed? Does it glide? The smoothness of it, we can compare all the things. So give me a few minutes and I will check back in with you in a little bit. Now let's go ahead and see this Premier plush yarn in action. I'm going to be making mini Triceratops. I think I mentioned it earlier. I've never made this pattern before, but it is very popular in the crochet community. It's a free pattern. I will have it linked for you down below. But in the plush yarn, we are going to make it using poppy, and then in Sweet Snuggles Light, we are going to use lavender. I'm going to go ahead and whip up the first one in Sweet Snuggles Light, and then I will come back. We'll do a magic ring test, we'll do a shed test, and we'll just do an overall review of the plush yarn in action. And for both of these yarns, I am going to be using my 5mm hook. Let's do our magic ring pull with the Sweet Snuggles Light. That one did close up relatively easily. Side note, like I mentioned, this is my first time doing this pattern and I did get a little bit confused, but luckily there is a follow along tutorial for this pattern over on YouTube. So again, I will have that link down below along with just the written out pattern. But anyways, I think I figured it out now. Let's continue on. So our Sweet Snuggles light little Triceratops is done, and its eyes are crooked. That's okay, that just comes with the trial and error of doing a pattern for the first time. I inserted the eyes where it said to, and to me it seemed centered with the frill, but you can see, I don't know if you can tell on camera, when you get to the bobble stitches, like, the eyes are definitely not centered. So the only thing I would change about this pattern is just attaching the eyes after you've already done the bobble stitches for the little legs. But again, that's just the trial and error of doing a pattern for the first time. I absolutely love this pattern, and it is definitely perfect for market prepping. I do still need to add the little white details to the little tips of the, what is this called? Frills? We're gonna call it frills. I do still need to add the white to the little frills and to the nose, but let's go ahead and move on to making our Triceratops in the plush yarn so we can do a little size comparison. So let's find our end, and let's start off with doing a little shed test. So there is the end of the yarn. Oh, yeah. I was about to say, I'm shocked none's coming off, but a little bit did come off, much like with Sweet Snuggles Light, although, yeah, this does shed quite a bit. But that's not really that big of a deal to me. A little trick that I do is I'll cut the yarn and just leave a little bit of the, like, white inner part showing, and then carefully with parent supervision, if you are younger, be careful. I take a little lighter and just burn the end of the yarn, and that keeps it from shedding in general. It's really helpful if you're sewing pieces together. It just kind of keeps your yarn from shedding. So no big deal. Eden! She is going crazy right now. So no big deal. This is not a So no big deal. This is not a make or break factor. So no big deal. This is not a make or break factor in any way. But let's go ahead and get started and do our little magic ring test. So now that we have our 6 single crochet in our magic ring, I'm going to do my best to show you how this pulls. Yeah, super easy, glided, closed very easily. So this yarn definitely passes the magic ring test. Let me keep working with it a little bit more, and then I will come back to give you some of my opinions along the way. I do want to do a little bit of a frog test to see how this yarn frogs and if it's going to fray and separate. So let's see. Oh, super easy. This yarn does frog extremely well. I don't see any type of like separation or fraying going on. This yarn does feel a little bit more sturdy, maybe a little bit more dense. Like the actual fibers of the yarn does feel a little bit more dense than the Sweet Snuggles Light, so I think that is why it's holding up a little bit better. But it is extremely soft. It glides on your hook really easily, very smooth, very easy to work with. I am loving it so far. So let me go ahead and finish up this Triceratops. I am gonna put the eyes in the right spot this time, and then I will come back and we will compare the 2 plushies. We just finished up our little Triceratops in the Parfait Plush yarn. Don't worry, I put the eyes on this one straight this time. But overall, I absolutely love this yarn. I think it was very easy to work with. It glided very easily when I frogged a couple stitches, there was no shedding, or like, you know how the yarn will sometimes get gaps and then you can't really pull it through. There was none of that. This was an absolute dream to work with. And here is our little side-by-side comparison. They pretty much look the exact same size. If you ask me, yeah, they're pretty much the exact same. Overall, I am going to give this yarn a 9 out of 10. I love it. I love the thickness of it. I love the colors of it. I love how easy it is to work with. The only thing I wish is that there were more colors in stock, but again, this is a new yarn, so I'm sure Premier with time will figure out, you know, how much they need to have on hand and what the demand for this yarn is going to be. But if I had to guess, I would think this is going to end up being a lot of people's favorite yarn. This might actually end up being my new favorite yarn. If you are a fan of Sweet Snuggles Light or Chenille Home Slim, I highly recommend you try this yarn. I really think you are going to love it. Again, I am not sponsored by Premier, but Premier, hey, hi, hello. If you want to work with me, I would love to work with you. If you want to send some of this toffee yarn my way, I would not be mad at all. But anyways, I think that is going to be it for today's video. For the rest of this week, I am just going to be market prepping. I do have a market coming up on September 20th. And before that market, I definitely want to make a video showing you all my inventory. If you, my God, fuzz. If you didn't catch my last inventory video, or you don't really know how I do my inventory, I like to stock up as much as possible and have a lot on hand so that it can last me for multiple markets, so I can kind of stay ahead of myself. And right now, I am so proud of myself. I have over $5,000 in inventory right now, and before my market on the 20th, I kind of have a little goal for myself to try to have over $6,000 in inventory. So you definitely don't want to miss that video and see if I actually made it. But anyways, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. That lets me know that you like these type of videos and that you want to see more of them. And I will catch you all in the next one. Please ignore the mess going on behind me. I am in the process of reorganizing all of this yarn, but I literally finished filming this video probably less than an hour ago. And I just got an email notification from Premier that the yarns I was looking for are officially back in stock. I think I bought 6 skeins of toffee. So definitely stay tuned for a part 2 of this yarn haul when that yarn order gets here. I am so excited and so thankful that those colors came back in stock pretty quickly. I think they've only been out of stock for a week, maybe a little bit more. But anyways, I'm very excited for the rest of those colors to get here. Anyways, I will catch you all in the next video. Bye.